What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about The Walking Dead Season 5, and today I will be discussing Abraham Ford, or Rick Grimes versus Abraham Ford, for my today's video. So let's get started. And also, this video will contain comic book spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled and you plan on reading The Walking Dead comic book, please, I advise you, don't watch this video. So let's get started. Now, in The Walking Dead Season 5 promo, we see Rick and we see Abraham face to face. And it's revealed in that promo that these two individuals are indeed in Gabriel's church, hiding out, or in Gabriel's church seeking some type of shelter. And we see Abraham talking to Rick. It's a very short clip. We see Abraham talking to Rick, and we can see him very upset, telling him about the stages of the humans and how many humans are left. And he goes on to tell Rick that humans are on the verge of extinct. Is on the verge of extinct if they don't get Eugene to Washington, D.C. for the cure. Now, I want to talk about the comic book now, because in the comic book, Rick and Abraham had a minor confrontation in the comic book. And this happened after the prison arc had happened in the comic book. Now, in the comic book, Maggie had 4 siblings. She had 2 twin sisters that was little kids. Thomas ended up killing them, decapitating their heads off. Now, Thomas was the guy who in the comic book that was in the prison who had on glasses, and he lied to Rick and his group once they arrived to the prison. Once Rick asked him why he was in the prison, he told Rick the reason why he was in there was because it was forgery. Now, that was a lie. It was because he was a serial killer. And that's how they end up letting their guard down, and he ended up killing Herschel's 2 twin little girls. Now the only people that was left in Maggie's family was Maggie, Billy, and Herschel. Now, after the governor attacked the prison, and after he had got into the prison, after he had penetrated through the prison gates, he ended up killing Billy. Now, after he kills Billy, Herschel loses his will to live because he lost so many people, and the only person he has left who is his sibling is Maggie. So, like I said, Herschel loses his will to live, and Rick tells him, "Come on, Herschel, come now, run." And Herschel say, "I can't do it, Rick," because Herschel watched his son Billy get killed by one of the governor's men. So Herschel falls on his knees, and they end up killing Herschel. And after Maggie loses Herschel and Billy, she goes into a deep depression. This depression is so bad it causes suicidal thoughts. And it gets to a point after they escape the prison and after they meet up with each other, because in the TV show they stretched it out when it came to meeting each other, trying to find and reunite with each other again. In the comic book, it didn't take that long. I mean, like a couple of chapters later, they was reunited. Everybody met each other. Well, everybody ends up meeting each other, and by them doing that, they end up meeting Eugene, Abraham, and Rosita. Now, Maggie decides to commit suicide, so she takes her rope, because as I say, she goes into a deep depression. She takes a rope and try to hang herself on a tree to try to kill herself. Now, Abraham is one of those guys, he doesn't let his emotions cloud his judgment on what he should do, what is right. And that's what I like about Abraham, because after he saw Maggie hanging, Glenn cut Maggie down from a tree. Abraham had a gun to her head, and he was about to finish her off. Glenn tried to stop Abraham. And this is what I like about the show and the TV series, because when Glenn tried to stop Abraham, he swung and he punched Abraham. Abraham punches Glenn in the stomach one time. Again, Abraham punches Glenn in the stomach one time. and Glenn falls to his knees. He can't even get up. Now, in the TV series, they had Abraham and Glenn rolling all in the, well, wrestling all in the row with each other. In the comic book, Abraham just punched him in the stomach, put him down. Then, that's when Rick realized that Abraham was a force to be reckoned with. So when Abraham was getting ready to finish off Maggie, Rick takes his pistol and he puts it to Abraham's head. And Abraham is a person who never really feared anything. Now, he has witnessed sadness, depression, but he has never feared anything. And fear is something Abraham cannot stand, because after this happened, it causes him to want to get at Rick, because also he sees Rick as a potential leader because people listen to Rick. Back to what I was saying. Rick takes a pistol. When Abraham was about to kill Maggie, he put it to Abraham's head. He put the pistol to his head and he says, if you pull your trigger, I pull my trigger. And at that time, Abraham tries to act like he's not scared, but he's really consumed with fear. And it's also a lot of mixed emotions going through his head, because he tells Rick when Rick got the pistol to his head, he says you put emotions first. And that's why he always told Rick why he didn't think they could survive, because he told Rick when he thought Maggie was dead, you put emotion first instead of doing what you have to do and doing what you know is right. You decide to put emotion first. And so Rick tells him no. So Abraham stops. And so all of a sudden Maggie she wakes up, like she started breathing again, and Abraham is shocked, and he sees hope. He sees potential in Rick. He's saying to himself, man, this guy he really has hope. Even in this world, this man has hope. He has faith. And it also shocked him at the same time. Now, later on, Abraham is still mad at Rick about what he did when Rick had put his pistol to Abraham's head and threatened to kill him. Abraham takes Rick, he pulls him by his arm, and he says, next time you put a gun in my head, I'm going to kill you. And Rick says the opposite. He says, next time I put a gun in your head, I'm going to blow your brains out. So, later on, Rick is pissing. He's taking a leak somewhere, I guess in some type of, it's a very tall grass. It's look like the woods or something. Or a field. Could be a field. He's taking a piss. And this is how you know that Abraham is a good guy and he sees potential in Rick, because Abraham is like a beast that needs to be tamed or can be tamed. And Rick is that person that can tame him, because he can relate to Rick. He had to make those same decisions that Rick had to make to survive, so he can relate to him. But it was the way that was making that connection. It was the wrong way. But anyway, Rick was he was peeing in the field. A zombie got close to Rick and Rick didn't realize it. So Abraham was about to allow that zombie to kill Rick, because also leadership came in too. Abraham did not want Rick to think that Abraham didn't want Rick as his leader. He didn't even want Rick to think that Abraham was following him, listening to him, because Abraham is an independent man. Even Rick said this. In the Alexandria Safety Zone arc, Rick says Abraham is a one-man army by himself. When Rick Grimes said it about you, you badass. When Rick said you a one-man army by yourself, you bad. But anyway, he saw Rick peeing and he saw the zombie. Now he was about to allow the zombie to bite Rick to kill him. But he ends up shooting the zombie through the head and killing him. And you can see how his emotions got involved. His conscience kicked in too. Like I said, he saw something Rick, but he never admitted it. But then he started following Rick eventually. But that's what happened. Like I said, in the TV series, Herschel, in a comic book series, Herschel has a son named Billy. Now, all of those kids for Herschel in a comic book series, is his biological kids. Now, some of the kids in the TV series is not his biological kids. His only biological kids is Beth, and Maggie. Now, Jimmy, he has a son named Jimmy in the Walking Dead TV series. He got killed in season 2. He is not Herschel's real son. That's his stepson. He has a daughter named Patricia. Patricia was married to Otis, the one Shane left for dead for the zombie so he could escape. Patricia is not Otis' real daughter. Patricia and Jimmy belongs to Josephine Green. That's Herschel's second wife he married. That is not Herschel's first wife. Now, Josephine Green is buried. Her graveyard site, or her cemetery site, is buried close to Herschel's house. Now, remember, in season 2, in the beginning of season 2, episode 1 title, What Lies Ahead, we see Rick, we see everybody running through a graveyard. We even see them going to the church house. Now, outside of that church house, it's a cemetery. And then that cemetery has Beth's mother's tombstone, Josephine Green. She had got, well, no. Josephine Green, she got bitten. Josephine Green is the one in the boring house that Shane had killed when he had bust open that barn to kill those zombies. That's where Beth's mother at. Now, Maggie's mother is buried in that graveyard site, the graveyard site that we saw in season 2, that we saw this tombstones that when we saw Rick running into the church. So, yeah, sorry, the camera stopped recording. But, yeah, back to what I was saying. The cemetery that we saw in season 2, episode 1, What Lies Ahead, that cemetery is where Maggie's mother is buried at. Now, Beth's mother, Josephine Green, she was one of the walkers that we saw in the barn house that Herschel kept in the barn when Shane had busted open and killed all of them. We saw her mother, we saw her sister. Josephine got bit by a zombie. That's how she turned. So Herschel put her in the barn house. So overall, Josephine is not Beth's mother. Beth's mother was dead even before the zombie apocalypse happened. So Beth and Maggie don't have the same mother. So yeah, and Billy is not, as I say, Jimmy in the TV series is not Herschel's son, it's his stepson. Now, Billy in the comic book is Herschel's real son. Everything in the comic book is biological. So I hope you guys enjoyed my Walking Dead discussion. Have a blessed day. Bless you all. Thumbs up the video. Peace.